sorry about the rain today. I'm going to have to jump in the car in a second because it's quite cold as well. I was planning to do the filming yesterday, but I had a bit of a problem with the vehicle, well not the vehicle, but the key fob battery went flat. And I went down there to the toilet and locked the vehicle, and luckily I took my phone with me because I came back to the car and it wouldn't open. So I tried all different little methods. There's a little symbol on the B pillar here. I thought you could hold the key up against that and it might have a magnetic field or something like that that helps it unlock. What made matters worse was there's no phone reception here. So I had to walk all the way back up the road. It's about 4K walk until I found some reception and got in contact with Lotus, and they said, yeah, download the app and you'll be able to unlock the vehicle with your phone. So some of the footage you'll see is from in the dry, but the POV test drive I'm about to do now will be in the wet. Yeah, it looks pretty out there. It kind of, in my opinion, looks a little bit like the Lamborghini Urus at the front. And then along the sides, it's a very low profile coupe, four-door coupe style of SUV with an elongated rear end. And then these very cool twin rear wings or rear spoilers. Full width tail light as well. And you've got these huge gaping holes in the bodywork. You can actually see where the mud has come out from the tyre down there. The attention to detail with the aero is pretty cool. Like even along here, you might not notice it, but there's a little fin or little vent that goes through there. And in the front guard here, it goes through to the tyre. And a huge hole that goes through to the front bumper bar. It's got active vents down here as well. So these little triangles open and close depending on what's needed. And then extraction vents in the bonnet. So the air comes in through the front end and then hopefully you can see through there. And then it is vented over the top, helping with airflow and downforce. All right, let's jump in the car because it's absolutely freezing and I'm getting very wet. Basically, I connected with the car via the Apple Wallet and I can just unlock and lock with my phone. And it doesn't matter if you don't have phone reception or anything like that. It connects to the car and communicates with the car regardless of, you know, where the GPS or where the mobile phone tower is. Making matters worse, my phone was at about 4% battery. It was just one of those things where it's perfect storm and it just escalated really quickly. I'm thinking, hang on, how am I going to get into the car? All my camera gear and everything is in the car. I think the biggest lesson I learnt was that always take your phone with you. Even if you're just ducking to the shops or to the toilet, just take your phone with you because you never know what situation you're going to be in. But I'm also going to recommend to myself, just keep my phone charged. So whenever I'm driving, just plug it in. Just make sure that it's always topped up. Inside here, we've got a very advanced and modern layout. You've got these kind of lily pad or pontoons that sort of float out. Awesome attention to detail in the dash trimming there. It's got this kind of pressed aluminium or something. Awesome attention to detail with the speakers. Produces good sound as well. And then Lotus has gone with sort of a goldy coloured trim for some of the highlights. So you'll see the speaker grills, the power window switches, and the controls on the steering wheel. You've just got a very thin instrument cluster with only your vital information, your battery level, speed, and your cruise control details on the left. And you've also got a little screen on the passenger side showing some information and another touch screen in the back. We'll go in the back in a second. Excellent interior quality. You've got this kind of Alcantara or suede headliner extending all the way down the pillars and then leather down the doors and more of the Alcantara. Even the lower doors down here, you've got leather and including the B pillar, which not all vehicles have. Some even expensive vehicles, I've noticed, it's just plastic on the B pillar, which is a little bit disappointing depending on how much you're spending. This model is $230,000. It's the Eletre S. There's three different variants: Eletre, Eletre S, and the Eletre R. Mid-spec variant. I think this is probably the best value, I guess you could call it. But if you want absolute performance, you need the R, which is 900 horsepower. So crazy amount of acceleration and speed available. In saying that though, this is very quick too. We'll go for a drive in a minute and I'll just show you. I won't bore you with all the details of this touchscreen, but some areas are not as intuitive as I would like. Like you've got some of the options there for the media. You hit this cog wheel and you've got all the settings, so you can go into the drive mode and everything. I've got lane keep assist and all that sort of stuff off, fatigue assist off, so that's driver monitoring camera or sensors. And you can go in and change the screen brightness and all of that. But what I don't like is there's just sort of no main home button. You've got this area here, you can go around and unlock the vehicle and unlock the charging port and all that sort of stuff. Change the angle of the rear wing. The rear spoiler will pop up. Open it up to its most aggressive point. You do have this apps button down here, which has got all the main things, I guess. But yeah, some things are just a little bit confusing. It's not immediately intuitive, in my opinion. Like even to change the climate control, you've got to use these, they're quite nice little toggle switches down here to change the temperature. But if you want to turn the aircon on or off, then you kind of, I'm guessing anyway, I don't know if there's an actual button, but I just push the temperature and then all of the information comes up. But why not have, you know, an area up here that's just got climate or something, all your options up here or something, you know, media, climate, just so you know where everything is. Whereas here it's just a bit scattered, in my opinion. The instrument cluster, on the other hand, very easy to understand. And the steering wheel controls are a little bit confusing as well. You've got little hidden controls. So this little bit here moves up and down as well, but then this whole thing moves up and down for the volume. And the same on this side. And it's not completely clear. I mean, you get used to it once you know where everything is, but it's just not completely obvious straight away. And then here you've got your drive modes, so you pull the paddle, and you've got individual, sport, tour, range, and off-road. Although I don't think many people are going to be going off-road with this. And then on this side, you've got your regen controls, so you can just, I've got it maxed out at the moment, 3 bars, 2 bars, and then off. So that means it will just coast along and not produce any regen braking power when you lift off the accelerator. And we'll check out the back quickly, because I think this is probably one of the biggest draw cards of this vehicle. If you love your Lotuses, you don't have very many options for rear passengers. Heaps of space back here, almost a completely flat floor. You might as well say it's flat. There's just a tiny little hump there. And then you've got your own touchscreen as well. More of that gold trimming around the headrests and those speaker grills as well. Actually, I'll leave the door open because it's quite dark in here. Cool textured material on the back of the seat. Then your climate vents there, and you've got one there as well. You've got full control here for not just the climate, but also the seat. So these move back and forward and all that sort of thing. Then you do have a flip down armrest with cup holders and a little storage spot in the middle. Heaps of room back here though, very comfortable. Like look at all the leg room I've got. That seat could come quite a bit further back if I was, you know, taller driver in the front, and you'd still have heaps of room left over. The Eletre is based on the C platform or SEA platform, shared with another number of vehicles under the Geely umbrella. So Lotus is owned by Geely in China, and you've got to remember that Geely also owns Volvo, Polestar, Smart, and Zeekr. But sitting in here, you would not see any, or you don't feel any relationship with any of those other brands. It feels exotic and quite special. It does feel like a $200,000 car in here. And of course, up at the back, we've got a decent sized boot as well. So this can be used for touring and so on, and even taking the kids. It's got child seat points on all 3 seats, 12-volt socket on the back there as well, and then options for the load height. So it's got completely adjustable air suspension, some extra storage under the floor there as well. I guess it'd be interesting to test this in the wets to see how the 4-wheel drive system handles all of that power. The S comes with a 112 kilowatt hour battery, twin motor, combining to produce 450 kilowatts and 710 newton meters, claimed 0 to 100 in 4.5 seconds, which is not super fast for a high-end fully electric model, but again, this is only the mid-level variant. So if you really want to go fast, you need the R. Basically the same vehicle, just with a lot more power. To start with, I'm just in the tour mode, and the ride comfort is really good. I think that's probably the standout among these latest Lotus models. Just awesome ride comfort and good handling too, obviously, but the way that it can absorb the bumps while maintaining awesome composure and that enthusiasm through the steering, It's very encouraging when you're driving along the road like this, because it just makes you want to go for a drive and drive even further, you know, and enjoy it. We'll put it under a bit of pressure now. It's got awesome grip, huge 315 tyres on the back. That's full power, tiny bit of slip then. Traction control just jumped in. That was from the front axle as well. I think the biggest issue facing high-end brands that are building EVs, or even just high-end EVs, is that you can kind of get the same thing for a lot less. So for example, this, you know, you could get yourself a Polestar 3 all-wheel drive for about, well, not quite, but almost half the price of this. And it kind of does the same thing. You know, back in the days, you'd pay for a supercar because you're getting that engineering and gearbox, engine, and the calibration of all of that, the noise. Whereas this, it's just electric. And I'm yet to come across an electric vehicle that, you know, isn't really set up that well in terms of the power distribution and the powertrain. They're all pretty good, you know. You can come into a corner, just floor it, and it distributes the power perfectly every time. The only vehicles that I can think of are the BYD Dolphin through here. It just let too much wheel spin happen, even with the stability control completely all turned on. So it was just a bit sloppy. I think they need to dial out some sensitivity of the throttle or something, or maybe it's just too much power for those little tyres that it had. Aside from that though, pretty much all EVs, they handle pretty good. You know, you can just turn the steering wheel and just nail the throttle and it just literally rips you around the corner. So what does this do differently? Well, on first impressions, driving down here, the steering is really nice and the ride is excellent. There's absolutely no feeling of instability at all, even going over bumps mid-corner, applying way too much power like just then, and it just grips up and went. But again, some of the rivals can do that as well. But one thing I do notice actually is the throttle response is not totally lightning sharp like in some EVs, but I think Lotus has done that on purpose to try and make it feel a bit more like a combustion engine, where, you know, you put your foot down a little bit, you got to wait, not wait, but it sort of progressively builds up. So that's full throttle, and it kind of has awesome top end power, but immediately it's just, you know, serious acceleration. It's not absolutely savage acceleration like in the top end. I just put my foot down then, and yeah, took off immediately, but not suddenly, if that makes sense. Like, it didn't smack my head in the back of the into the chair. So full throttle, and it just, yeah, once you hit sort of 80, 100 kilometers an hour, it really starts stretching its legs and building speed. As you'll see in the upcoming performance test, the quarter mile speed is pretty high for the time that it achieved. Up these very tight. Started to step out a little bit then. I think it would struggle a bit without the stability control, understandably. It is a very heavy vehicle, 2,550 kilograms. That's, you know, not very Lotus-like at all. And I think some of the company executives, or some of the, you know, older school company executives, would be frowning upon that weight figure, but it's just where we're at this stage of EV technology. Alright, we'll go back up and I'll just turn the stability control off, and just to see how immediate the slip happens. Absolutely no wheel spin at all, but again, as it's building speed, I could feel the front left wheel just sort of stretching its tyre just a little bit as we picked up speed. So not off the mark, but later on. A bit of a tight corner here. Okay, so it's sort of spun a little bit then. Yeah, it does feel quite heavy when you start pushing it. I've still got good communication through the wheel, so I know what's going on, but it's still, you know, wrestling with an elephant basically, because it is just so heavy. You can't hide that really. Does it reduce my confidence? Maybe a little bit compared with, you know, a petrol SUV of this sort of caliber. I don't have, you know, complete confidence in that once it does let go, is it going to keep sliding because it's got so much weight and momentum? But it's holding on really well. A little bit of slip then from the back. By the way, I'm not expecting it to be, you know, no wheel spin at all. This is saturated ground. If I was in any vehicle, it'll probably struggle a little bit. Well, not struggle, but just start to spin the wheel. Or wheels. A little bit of slip then. Yeah, it's still got awesome handling, and I think the ride comfort, the steering are probably the best parts about the vehicle. The power and the performance is nothing special for this style of vehicle. Like, it still goes really fast, but again, as I said, you can get this sort of speed and acceleration for much cheaper. And the safety, like the power distribution is still very good. Like that little Volvo EX30, you know, I flogged down here with stability off. It was in the dry, but you can, yeah, it's amazing how much grip it has, and because it's so smart, it's able to figure out where to send the power, like in all EVs, and like in this as well. So yeah, you're not really paying for that, you know, $230,000. You're not really getting that as something special in this, because most of the rivals offer, or not rivals, but most other EVs offer a similar sort of package. I've still got plenty of grip here, full power. Yeah, a little bit of wheel spin at the front. Awesome G-forces though, like it's, no petrol vehicle could offer this sort of G-force just because of the response and immediate response in terms of where to send the power as well. Yeah, out on the highway it cruises really nicely, very quiet obviously, so you could definitely take this for a nice big road trip in complete comfort. I guess a big part of it comes down to that badge, you know, you're getting that heritage. The Eletre was developed in China, but it was also, the handling parts were developed by the guys from Britain in terms of the handling and steering. So you do get proper heritage in the mix. You're also getting advanced battery technology. So 112 kilowatts, as I said, which is very large, but it offers maximum DC charging at 350 kilowatts and maximum AC at 22 kilowatts. Not all EVs at the moment offer 22 kilowatt AC charging. I've got a 3-phase charger at my house, 22 kilowatt charger, and this peaked at around 20.7 kilowatts, which is awesome. It means it charges in, you know, just a few hours at home. All right, let's head out now to the private road and do some performance testing and see what it goes like.